Going live on YouTube. Oh, John is on Facebook. Say hi, everyone. Hi, John. I think
Hey,
Oh, Rivka, so much background noise. All right, I think we should be live on YouTube as well. I see. If you guys see us on YouTube, please let us know. Mike, Chris, GV, Christy, is Beach here? All right, so let us know how the audio is. I think everything is good. So, guys, everything we talked about before going on air, all the dirty words, all the controversial stuff, we can't say those things anymore. Don't say those words, or else YouTube will destroy. Facebook will destroy this. Anyways, oh, guys, by the way, before we start talking about the first news, link in the description. Subscribe to our newsletter because Facebook and YouTube don't want you guys to see our content. They're too controversial. So for us to be able to reach you, we need your emails. Subscribe to our newsletter. Link in the description. Anyways, no more fluff. Let's get into the first news.
No, let's thank Angel for $20.
Oh, Angel!
Chat.
Thank you, Angel,
so
for
much.
Thanks,
Angel,
for the $20 super chat. All right, first news.
First news is a right-wing pastor, Perry Stone, best known for checking his phone while speaking in tongues, made a rather unusual claim during a recent on-the-spot sermon in the Golan Heights. He said that Noah's family cleared away 12 tons of animal feces from the ark daily. Sorry, I reversed that. He was discussing why Noah's Ark is literally true and tried to explain how the animal waste was handled. It is estimated that there was 5 to 12 tons of manure a day on the ark. Now, there was a window on the top of the ark that could be open. It was actually on the side, not on the top. It was on the side, where they could throw it out when they needed to. So it doesn't necessarily mean it piled and piled and piled. They had a way of getting rid of it, no doubt.
How does he know all this?
That's what I want to know. Like, I want to know how he knows exactly 5 to 12. Like,
but
So
wait, and how do they eat? Like, okay, so first of all, if they're pooping all the time, because if I was a Christian, I would be like, oh, God made them not have to eat or poop the entire time, like magic. Like, you don't have to explain stuff. Just when you have magic on your side, there's not much explanation needed for anything, right? But now that they're pooping, then there must be eating. Where is all the food coming from?
Right, and are the predators eating the other, like, are the lions eating the antelopes that are on the ark? I mean, like, what's going on?
The meat-eating ones are, if they're pooping, then they're eating other animals, and the ones that are not meat-eating did Noah pack like all that plant, because the ship needs to be like a lot bigger than they estimated. Right, go on.
So here's how Christians can actually believe this, guys. Because I was a Christian, and I actually truly believed this happened at one point in time in my life. But the reason why we believe this happened is because God told Noah to do it. Therefore, it wasn't up to Noah to shovel the poop, and it wasn't up to Noah to feed the animals. That was up to God, right? So God made that magically happen. That's what we believe. Magic. So when people start taking this stuff and they start saying, okay, 5 to 12 tons of manure, they shoveled it out of a what he first says is a window off the top of the ark. Then he changes it and says, oh, it's actually the side of the ark. So they're shoveling the stuff out there because he realizes if it's at the top, the rain was going to come in the boat, and you can't have that open all day while you're shoveling poop out of it. So the reason why they come up with little things like this, and the reason why it feels good and they buy it, is because they wouldn't have had this thought to explain this away if God didn't want them to believe this was real.
Wait, but why do they make their job so much difficult in talking about shoveling poop and stuff? You have magic on your side. You believe in magic. You believe in supernatural.
God magically fed them, right?
God
magically made them not poop.
Just say they don't do poop. They don't eat for the entire time. And if you ask why, be like, well, it's magic. I don't need to explain anything. And then your job is so much easier. Like, why do they make everything so difficult for themselves? You already... Yeah.
There was a movie in the 70s where supposedly they found the remains of Noah's Ark. I don't remember the name of it, but I know that my mother took us to see it. And it was some, mountaintop where the water used to come all the way up, and then when it receded, they found this shell of a boat, and that was proof, according to the film, that it actually happened.
Right. But again,
So
yeah.
it was in a movie. So I remember like, oh wow, it really must be real. They found it, but it still seemed like bullshit.
All right, you swear again. It's you, Rivka. Now it's good.
It still seemed like BS.
No, you guys, too late. You guys need to share our videos because Rivka keeps swearing and our videos get deprioritized. I'm going to have to swear as well because there's a top comment has swearing in it. So Eden is saying, and lo, it came to pass that Noah and his sons became weary of shoveling shit and cried out, Lord, what must do with our third mountain? And the Lord spake to Noah with the words, Taketh the shit heap and dump it where thou art drifting now. And Noah did as his God had commanded him, and did chucketh the ruddy lot over the side. And it came to pass that the place of much excrement became known as the Westminster from that day to this. Okay, that was okay.
Chuck it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I don't know. Okay, all right, that's good. Should we go? Let's go. Okay, next news.
Next news. A lesbian boxer risks jail and kisses her girlfriend in a defiant stand against Maldives' homophobic laws. A lesbian boxer has taken a stand for great gay rights by sharing a photo of herself publicly kissing her girlfriend in the Maldives, where homosexuality is against the law. Same-sex sexual activity is strictly prohibited in the island nation and is punishable by up to 8 years in prison for non-Muslims. On April 24th, the woman tweeted a picture of herself kissing her girlfriend in the ocean. The caption read, "Illegal to be gay in the Maldives and other Muslim countries. Still, in this day and age, is mental. Always this in our thought." Anyways, this is our thought. Sorry. April, that's the name of the boxer, reportedly took the photo down at the request of friends and family who feared that she might face repercussions from the Maldives authorities. She later uploaded the image on her return to the UK, but it is no longer visible on her public Twitter or Instagram accounts. So I'm guessing she was on vacation with her girlfriend in the Maldives.
Yeah, where is she? She's a citizen of what country?
She's from the UK.
UK, yeah. And she's apparently a pretty good boxer.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a fan now. I don't even like boxing, but I'm a fan now. But that's great. These are the people that actually make huge differences. So wait, in the Maldives, the laws for Muslims and non-Muslims are different, right? So non-Muslims get 8 years in prison. What do Muslims get for homosexuality?
I believe that they are fined.
No.
And maybe fined. Okay. Here we go. I looked it up. Under Sharia law, homosexual Muslims may be fined, imprisoned, or given 100 lashes.
Well, that's not very Islamic. Okay, never mind. Most Islamic countries don't follow Islam anyways. But, okay, so, I mean, the punishment in Iran, the punishment is death. But I don't think, go on, Ali.
Okay, so there's a few things I wanted to bring up about this, because obviously we're all going to agree she's awesome for doing this.
Yeah.
And it's not, but what has really irked me about this is seeing the comments people have left about it. Like, so what, right? Other people are saying, well, they go into a different culture, or they go into a different place, and they have laws. You need to abide by those laws. And I take huge issues with it. Huge issues. Okay, yes. When someone's human rights are being violated, You do not just go there and say, oh, okay, this is great, this is fine, and drink your tea while everything's on fire around you. You absolutely do say something, you do something, you stand up to it, okay? And that's exactly what
Well,
they
if
did
you
in their
choose
action
to,
order.
it's like you don't have to risk your life. But if somebody does risk their life, you thank them and you congratulate
Yes.
them and you respect.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
The other thing is people are saying so, right? It's my cat's about. Sorry. The people are saying so what? You know, it's 2020. No one cares if people
No
are
one
lesbian.
cares. It's in the Maldives.
So a lot of people didn't even know that it was this illegal in the Maldives to express yourself this way. So no, what they're doing here is actually bringing about a lot of education for people who wouldn't have otherwise known.
So you have people that live in the Maldives, and they're living. This is kind of like a lot of people when they envision have Maldives, they're like paradise, beaches, beautiful, but they don't know that it's a living hell for a lot of people that actually live there and have to. It's an Islamic country, of course, it's a living hell. But so these women that are enjoy, rights, gay rights, and everything, women rights, gay rights in their own country, decide to risk. Like they don't have to risk anything, but they decide to risk something to bring attention to people that don't have the same rights that they do. That, I mean, if that is not a definition of a hero, I don't know what else is, right? I mean, this is how you make changes. This is how you bring attention to something. This is how, yeah. I mean, this is fantastic. These women should be. And people are like, so what are you talking about? They're in the Maldives. They're an Islamic country. They're like, what do you mean so? Of course, what they say. Why does this matter? Exactly. That's their point. It shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter. That's what
going to Maldives and not being able to take a picture with your wife. Kissing in the ocean or whatever you wanted to do. Can you imagine? So yeah, this means something to some of us too. That's a little bit above everything else. The fact that some people in this world, gays, lesbians, transgender, can't walk into any place they want and just take a loving picture of themselves with their spouse or their partner. It's ridiculous.
I mean, the whole point of the activism is so that it doesn't matter. Like people like this shouldn't matter. Yeah, it shouldn't matter, and that's what they're trying to do. That's the point of the activism. But go on, sorry, Yivka.
I was just going to say what really angers me about these. So it's their country. You shouldn't do it because it's against the law there. Kind of comments is I feel like that is really just disguised bigotry, because what that says is, well, those people don't really either deserve or have the same rights as us. And it doesn't matter because that's just the way they are in their country. You know, what can you expect from these savages or that kind of mindset?
So, yeah, and also should like the slaves that ran away in the United States, right? Should they, like, at that time in the United States, the law was that they shouldn't be running away. Should we say, like, why were their slaves running away? That was the law. They should respect the law of their land. Or what about Rosa Parks, right? She decided to
she should have just
she should have
down.
Like, no, that's not good. She should have followed the law. Yeah, might not like the law, but she should follow it. You know, like it's the law of the land. No, they're unjust. Like, it's very bizarre to me that people still think that following the law is always a good idea. You have unjust laws, and people that stand up against unjust laws are heroes. That's the very definition of heroes. And especially, okay, so if you're actually standing up against unjust laws in your own country, that you have unjust laws because you have to face them every day, that's one thing. But if you are a person from another country that doesn't even have to deal with these unjust laws and decide to still put yourself at risk, even though you could go home and not have to face these unjust laws, that's a whole other level of heroism, right? Because this is not even a cost to you, right? Other people are suffering from these laws. You're not suffering from these laws, and yet you're risking your life for other people's sake. Like, that's amazing. Like, thank you.
I also feel like, to me, if you have the ability to speak, like you were saying, and the freedom to do it, I feel like I have an obligation on some level to bring these issues to light, like what Ali was saying, to provide education for people, because I do have the opportunity to speak and to express myself, whereas other people don't.
All right, so one of the comments is, so why is she supporting the Maldives government with her tourism dollar? Well, I mean, I think given what she did, she, I'm glad that she was there. She brought way more attention to the fact that they have unjust laws compared to the money that she spent on in the Maldives. Is the amount of attention she brought to the Maldives? The net outcome is hugely on the other side. Another person is saying, go to a country, respect their rules, not hard. I don't agree with such laws, rules, but still. I think
There you go.
yeah, no, go. You know what? Go f yourself. Seriously, go f yourself. Like really, like oh, so you're just so if a country has slavery laws, like oh, go respect their laws. Like I don't agree with laws, but respect their laws. What does that mean? Like if you were under Germany during World War II, I'm not gonna say the N word because the YouTube doesn't like that. But if you were under N Germany during World War II, would you be like, oh, they're gassing the you know what people, but it's their laws, respect their laws? Like what? Like I mean, do we even have to explain this? Like, are you guys like we're dealing with morons, right? You guys are morons. I don't know what you say.
And there's some things that are just non-negotiable. You know, if their law is against the law to smoke hash in their country, you know what? Maybe you want to go there and not smoke hash. But these are non-negotiable things.
Right.
Human rights, you know, those are non-negotiable. Killing somebody or imprisoning them for loving someone, non-negotiable. Marrying children, no, it's non-negotiable. Those laws are wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right, let's go to the next news.
The next news is a Minnesota priest apologizes for calling Islam the greatest threat to America. A Roman Catholic priest in Minnesota apologized for calling Islam, quote, the greatest threat in the world to the United States and Christianity. The Reverend Nick Vanderbeek apologized in a statement posted on the website of the Archdiocese of St. Paul in Minnesota for the January 5th comments he made during a 15-minute homily as the pastor of the Church of the Immaculate Conception in Lonsdale. My homily on immigration contained words that were hurtful to Muslims, his statement read. I'm sorry for this. I now realize that my comments were not fully reflective of the Catholic Church's teaching on Islam. And he made this during their Immigration Week focus. They had an Immigration Week focus or talking about immigrants and refugees, and he decided to give this homily during that particular week. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Okay, so if he thinks that, okay, first of all, I don't think what his comment is true. Okay, Islam is a threat to everywhere, including America, but it's not the greatest threat to America. It is the greatest threat to some Islamic countries. But if he still thinks this is true and he's apologizing for it, then he's a coward, right? Because I don't think he needs to apologize if he thinks it's true. But if he doesn't, it's not true. Christianity is a bigger threat to United States than Islam, right? Islam is the bigger threat to Iran. Islam is a bigger threat to Saudi Arabia. Islam is a bigger threat to Bangladesh, to Egypt, to Malaysia. You could say even worldwide, Islam is the greatest threat to the planet. But if you focus on United States, Christianity is a greater threat to the United States than Islam is, right? So he's wrong, so he's wrong in two different levels. He's wrong because Islam is not the greatest threat, but I would still respect the fact, if he thinks that is true, I would respect the fact that he didn't back down on it. Right, and he didn't apologize. But he did two mistakes. First, he said something that is objectively not true. Then he's apologizing for something because he's afraid of the consequences, because he's just backing down on something he actually believes in because he's a coward. But go on.
I think part of the reason he backed down on it is because he was told to by the Archbishop, his boss, so to speak. Because the Archbishop said that he discussed the matter with him, and he said that this is not the teachings of the Catholic Church. This is what the Archbishop is telling him. And the Church, quote, looks with esteem to Muslims who worship God via prayer, fasting, and the giving of alms. He added that Pope Francis has embraced the need for enhanced dialogue between Christians and Muslims. So he may not even be backing down because he's afraid of the consequences. I think he's backing down because he's afraid of losing his job. Right. He also made another
statement. That is the consequence.
Right. I mean, I'm talking about in general. Right. He also made another statement before he apologized. When he gave this, saying that, you know, it's a great threat, and originally he said, when he said I'm sorry, he also said I'm not a hater in his original statement for saying this, and I'm not saying something that's anti-Muslim. He's saying they're anti-Christian. So he's saying that Muslims are anti-Christian, and that's why he's not a hater, because they're against Christianity.
I see.
And then he was censored.
Okay,
again,
well, let me say something, because he's the people keep using the words Islam and Muslims interchangeably as if they're the same thing. Like, he's talking about Islam as the greatest threat, and they were like, "Oh, they didn't want to hate on Muslims." They're not the same thing. Okay, like, are we still at this point that we still have to explain this? If I say Islam is the greatest threat, if I say Islam is evil, which is, you know, Islam is evil, Islam is a disease, Islam needs to end, all of that is true. I'm not saying the same thing about Muslims, right? Muslims are better than Islam. Muslims have better morals than the teachings of Islam. Just like Christians are better than Christianity. Christians follow better, on average, they have higher standards than what Christianity teaches, right? So this whole interchangeably explaining, like, oh, I said Islam, oh, I'm not hating on Muslims. You were talking about Islam. So can we, at what point are people going to learn that talking about a set of beliefs is not necessarily a judgment on the people that follow claim to follow a religion? Like, we have mentioned that many, many times, and it's been like a decade, and people still get that wrong. So that's...
Well, but I want to comment on that, because that's exactly what the spokesperson for CARE in Minnesota did, is he conflated the two. His name is Jalali
CARE
Hussain.
is an Islamic, by the way, organization, for people who don't know.
Council for American Islamic Relations. Right. He said that the pastor not only had done a disservice to his faith, but he's a threat to Muslims because of his comments on Islam. He said he was a threat to Muslims. So this guy is saying that saying something negative about Islam is a threat to Muslims, and he said that it threatens their lives.
Because they're
so he's conflating it too. He wants people to think that Islam is Muslims and Muslims are Islam.
Yeah, it's in their interest for this, because Islamic organizations benefit from having higher hate crimes, right? So if every attack on Islam is categorized an attack on Muslims, then your organization will become a lot more relevant. So it's in their interest to confuse these things, and that's why people are confused, because there are many very well-funded organizations that their entire job is to confuse these concepts with each other. But I mean, what are you guys talking? By the way, these are Christians and Muslims. Muslims should see Christianity as a threat, not just on this life, on their on their life as a whole. Like, okay, so. The Muslims are being such a hypocrite, because if they're being honest about the religion, Christianity is a threat to Muslims' eternal life, right? Because if you convert a Muslim to Christianity, they're going to burn in hell forever. How is that? How do you not see that as a threat? So you're just not going to say it? So you're just being dishonest? Like, what do you think if you say Christianity is a threat? Are you guys, are Muslims committing a hate crime? If they actually say what they believe, which is, if any Christian doesn't say that Islam is a threat, They're being dishonest about their beliefs. Because like, oh no, we respect Islam and Muslims. You're being dishonest because you know, every single one of them knows that their teaching says if somebody is a Muslim, they're going to go to hell and they're going to burn forever. And any Muslim that successfully converts a Christian to a Muslim, they just lost the soul. They just damned that soul to eternity. Isn't that the very definition of a threat? So what? If a Christian is being honest about their belief, now they're being hateful, so everybody is just pretending and not actually saying the things that they believe in. It's all just a bunch of hypocrites that are just like two-faces.
And I want to say, too, the whole thing's ridiculous because it's all the same God. It's all some of the same stories, some of the same ridiculousness. And so for me, they're all just sort of arguing over apples and oranges in a way. I mean, and so many Christians will say, oh, Islam isn't, they don't worship the same God or it's different. Like, they actually do. You guys are all in this pot together.
So Rob is the top comment. He's saying, but he is the greatest fear to our little boys. Okay, actually, I don't agree with that. Just because somebody is a Catholic priest, that doesn't mean they're a child molester. Please don't assume that. Chris is saying, why is it, in the live chat, saying, why is it people always apologize to Islam? Are people still so afraid of offending their religion? If it was said against atheists, no one would be bat an eye. Yeah, and actually, Muslims constantly say really bad things about Christianity, and nobody considers that a hate crime. Rivka, your microphone is being hit a lot.
Oh, my hair. Sorry.
That's okay. All right, let's go. Ali, you didn't want to add anything, right?
Nope.
Okay, next news.
The next news is a French girl, Mila, said she has no regrets for targeting, for her criticism of Islam. This is written strange. Okay. So a teenager in France has sparked a national debate about blasphemy in France after an Instagram post calling Islam a religion of hate. Mila, 16, posted her comments online after receiving homophobic abuse from a Muslim commenter. She received death threats and has not attended school since. But Mila has refused to back down, saying in her first television interview that she wanted to blaspheme. The country of France has no national blasphemy law and has a rigidly secular constitution. Police initially opened 2 investigations. The first into whether Mila was guilty of hate speech, and the second into her online attackers. They have since dropped the hate speech case, as Mila was expressing a personal opinion on religion and not targeting individuals. On Tuesday, Interior Minister Christophe Castaner told the National Assembly that Mila and her family were under police protection. So I have a couple things to say about this.
Before, just to clarify, she's a singer, right?
No, she's a teenager, just a French teenager. She's in high school.
She made a song. Okay, and she's. You said she was under homophobic attacks by Muslims because she's gay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And also, not just, I had heard, this actually happened back in January, I think January 16th or something like that. And I had heard about it from my friends in France and had read quite a bit about it in the French papers. And then it got picked up later.
This became huge in France. I've been seeing this everywhere, right? And
it became huge. Yeah. And I think what happened was she was being attacked and homophobically, and also a lot of sexist things were said to her. I
mean, it's amazing. I'm really proud of her for not backing down. Like, people usually, you saw just in the previous news, people, as they say something bad about Islam, the whole world started crashing down on them as, hateful, and they're like, the apology letter just comes really, because it's just so intimidating. Like, at first, even a lot of people that don't think that they're going to back down, you have no idea the wave of things that comes at you, and the amount of threats, and the amount of legal stuff, and the police, and then online harassment. Like, a lot of people just back down and be like, okay, apology letter. Boy, how many apology? Like, sorry, I didn't mean it. I love Muslims. But she's just a 16-year-old girl. She's like, no, like, I'm not backing down. She's like doubling down on it.
She kind of did, if that's your definition of backing down a little bit. She did
apologize
for
vulgarity.
For her comments, if it offended non-hateful Muslims.
Okay, but did she apologize for saying it?
She apologized if it hurt anybody's feelings who practiced peaceful Islam.
But she's also saying no regrets.
Right. So you can't apologize for those who practice peaceful Islam if you're saying Islam is a bad religion, right? Like, I don't know.
In the French paper, they also, some of the French stuff, they said she apologized for her vulgarity, too, was another thing. She was sorry she used vulgar language. But I want to read her
use
original
vulgar
statement.
language. The only reason why we don't use vulgar language is not because we're like this Puritans or anything like that. It's because YouTube doesn't let us, okay? I don't agree with people that think swearing is bad. Swearing is good. It's healthy, okay? Get it out of your system, okay? Swearing is great. And don't apologize for vulgarity. Use it whenever you want. We just,
maybe YouTube doesn't know the French words for SH word.
No, YouTube
but
knows.
So her
YouTube
original statement was, I hate religion. It is nothing but hate in the Quran.
Right.
And then she said, Islam is the SHIT word.
Yes,
That's
it is.
what I think.
Good.
There are still people who will get offended, and I clearly don't give a damn. I am not a racist. You cannot be racist toward a religion. I said what I thought, and you're not going to make me regret it.
Yes.
I say what I want and what I think.
Yes, thank you. My God, she's only 16, and she's like, that's great. Okay, so
she also said when she went on TV in France, she said, defending herself, and what she said, I have not insulted anyone, nor threatened anyone, nor called for violence against anyone. All I did was blasphemy and a general criticism of religions and nothing else.
Yeah, and a lot of people point out
that they're investigating the threats against her now.
Yes, I'm actually a little bit sad that there was even the police were investigating the threats against her, but they also investigated her for hate speech. That's
right.
That's ridiculous. Like, I'm glad they dropped it, but even the suggestion of that this being hate speech was ridiculous, just to begin with, right? But a lot of people are pointing out that she's against all religion, not just Islam, which is true. She is, but it's so sad that you have to point that out. Like, if somebody comes out against Christianity, nobody, not that many people will come at you and why are you focusing on Christianity? Why do you not have a problem with Islam? Do you have a problem with Hinduism? People are like, yeah, Christianity bad. Yeah, we agree. But if you talk about Islam, then people make you clarify that, okay, I'm against all religions, not just Islam. Why that clarification is needed when you talk about Islam, but that clarification is not needed when you're talking about Christianity. This is the special privilege that Islam has among all other religions.
Well, it also, not only the special privilege, but the fact that no one took these death threats and rape threats very seriously in the first place, because when it immediately happened, the principal just said, well, just don't come to school tomorrow for your own safety. So it's almost as if he was like, well, you know how those Muslims are, so just stay home, which I thought was gross. But now she's under police protection, and it was huge in France. They had the Je suis Mila, which means I am Mila, and then a lot of offended people responded with their own hashtag, Je ne suis pas Mila, I am not Mila. So that was going on back and forth, and then Justice Minister waded into the conflict, and she said that the death threats were unacceptable, and this was basically an attack of freedom of conscience. But then people attacked her for saying that.
What?
And then
saying that death threats are unacceptable? That's okay. Well,
for saying that it was an attack on freedom of conscience. So she had to clarify her statement exactly like what you're talking about. And so when she clarified it, she said, well, it's one can criticize religion, but one cannot incite hatred.
Yes, you can. I hate religion. Easy.
She said that how she said it was clumsy, and
No.
then she later said I should not have said it.
What?
Yep.
Well, you have to be apparently. No, I hate religion. Religion needs to die. See, I don't. You don't have to be very academic. You could be like. If you say like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this ideology, people don't care. But as soon as it comes about Islam, you have to be so academic. You have to be so careful. You have to be like, I don't like Islam, but that's because I don't like all religions. I respect Muslims. I don't want to take anyone's right away. I hate the bigots. You don't have to do that with anything else. But with Islam, you just have to be so careful. And you have to like word it perfectly, and you just have to get like maybe a couple of other people to come read it before you send it out. No, F Islam. Islam is a disease that needs to die. Okay, right? No, clumsy. Make it clumsy. Okay, make it clumsy so that Islam doesn't enjoy the privilege that it has.
Oh, it gets worse.
Oh.
So Ségolène Royal, who is the former environment minister, and she was the socialist candidate for president, said, well, while she defended her right to criticize religion, she said that Mila should have shown more respect.
No!
Manners.
No!
And this is the part that gets me weird. That's weird. Knowledge. Knowledge of what?
No, you don't need... Okay, guys. Anybody that tells you that you don't have enough knowledge to say Islam is a disease, that it's nonsense, that it needs to end... Tell them, how much knowledge do I need to know that a man cannot go on a freaking horse and go to the heavens and cut the moon in half with his swords? How much knowledge do I need for that? How much knowledge do I need to know that wife beating is bad, that taking slaves is bad, that killing unbelievers is bad? Like, how many years of studying of Islam? How much of a scholar do I need to be? It's pretty simple, guys. You don't need to be an ex-Muslim like me to notice that this is all horse shit. But you just need half a day. No, not half a day. 1 hour of research in Islam is enough for you to notice that this is all crap. Okay, that's all you need. Let me just see what the top comment is. Top comment is by Andrew. He's saying, and I actually disagree with this. Andrew is saying, and in sending death threats to her, they are clearly proving her right. I don't think they understand the concept of irony. That sounds pretty good, but it's wrong. I'll tell you why it's wrong. Islam could be the greatest thing ever and have bad followers, right? So if Muslims are bad, that doesn't necessarily mean Islam is bad. Islam is bad because, read the Quran, okay? Because Islam could have good followers or bad followers, right? Muslims could be the most horrible people in the world, and Islam could be a good thing. Or Muslims could be the best people in the world, and Islam could be a bad thing, right? You judge the teachings of Islam by reading the teachings of Islam, and even if not a single Muslim has heard a fly, and they have never had slaves, and they have never beaten their wives, and not a single Muslim follows any of their rulings. If Islam teaches you to do those things, even if Muslims don't follow it, Islam is still bad, okay? So don't say like, oh, these people are sending death threats, therefore they're proving her point. No, the only way you can see her point is right or not, whether Islam is good or not, is by reading the Quran. When you read the Quran, like, holy crap, this book is nonsense and this is violent and all of that, right? That's how you know Islam is bad. Anyways, we spent so much time on this one.
Well, I want to just say one more thing. I think this whole thing was exacerbated and made worse because it became like a left and right thing. Because Marine Le Pen, tweeted in support of this woman, this young girl, saying that she had more courage than all of these politicians in France. And so all of a sudden, then it became this, oh, the right wing loves this girl, so we have to hate her.
Yeah, this is such nonsense. Just because you can't control who supports you, right? You're like, I have that problem. Like sometimes when I talk talk about Islam and tell you how horrible it is, I get some bigots that are like, oh yeah, we like what this guy is saying. What am I gonna do? Like I call them out. I'm like, well, I don't like these guys. But then people are like, look who supporting what Armin is saying. Well, how am I gonna stop them from not? All I can do is constantly point out the fact that I don't agree with them. But even that does not help. People always point out who likes you. But I don't know. I'm not saying Marie Le Pen is right or wrong. That's a different topic. I haven't actually done much research into her. People say she's horrible. I have to do my own research. Anyways, let's go to
the next news. Yogi Adityanath says Muslims did us no favor to India by staying here. So Yogi in India said that the Muslims should have
But hey, this is the kind of
opposed partition. Sorry, I forgot where I was. He's one of India's most controversial right-wing politicians, and he said that Muslims should have opposed partition, which led to the formation of Pakistan. He told the BBC in an interview. Mr. Adityanath said that is the chief minister of the northern state of Uttar Pradesh, India's most populous state and home to nearly a quarter of India's 200 million Muslims. His government has been recently accused of using excessive force against protesters, especially Muslims, opposing the new contentious citizenship law.
This guy is an actual anti-Muslim, not an anti-Islam. This guy is famous, and this guy is very well known for his anti-Muslim stance. Not anti-Islam stance like we do, but an anti-Muslim stance. Okay, so these are the actual, the stuff that this guy says is the actual hate speech. Not the people that say Islam is a disease like I do. Not the people that say Islam needs to die as a religion like I do. That's not hate speech. Okay, that's not. I don't think there's any problem with that. These people don't have much of a problem. I mean, their problem is with Muslims themselves, right? And they hate them, and they hate the God. So I don't understand. What is he saying? He's saying that Muslims should.
They should have.
Because
they should have opposed partition, which led to the formation of Pakistan. I'm not sure why.
But see, that seems like a contradiction. Can somebody clarify something? So
I thought so too.
He's saying that they're not doing India any favor by staying here, but they shouldn't have supported the partition. But isn't the partition what led to a lot of Muslims leaving India? So isn't those two statements contradictory? Ali, do you know?
I think what he's trying to... Okay, so I'm remembering everything I learned from Shubham. Yeah, that Uttar Pradesh is like the Florida of India, if you will. And this guy is up here saying that they should have opposed after India became their own place away from Britain. All Muslims should have left. So he's saying that if they had opposed, they shouldn't have just opposed the partition. They should have just gone over and been in Pakistan, right? Like he's saying they should have just left. Don't oppose the partition. Be happy with the partition and leave, right? So that's what I'm thinking he's saying.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Okay.
And
he's saying like most Muslims left India and went to Pakistan, and he's saying all of them should have left India.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
But they're doing India no favors by hanging around in India.
Yeah. Like this is this guy is like so anti-secular. Like these people these people are popular. Like these politicians, like they're not some, fringe group of like really crazy politicians in India that are saying crazy things and people are saying like, oh my god, I can't believe he said that. No, these people are saying this because they have a lot of popular support for what they're saying, right? A lot of Hindus in India, they hate Muslims. They hate their guts. They are, they hate every single one of them. They want them all gone, right? So this is bigotry. Like this is actual bigotry. This is not like, and this is the type of bigotry that the people that accuse us of bigotry don't usually point to, right? the people that say like, oh, Armin, you're a bigot, you talk about Islam, and when you have like real bigotry, that people that want to kick out people for their beliefs out of their entire country, and they want to create a country that has a two-tier system where Hindus are considered a higher class of citizens compared to Muslims, they don't point to these people. They don't like, oh, hey, hate crime. This is hate crime, right? And these are not just people with opinions. These are people that have write laws and make policies, right? These are not just a random bigots that's just like typing and making YouTube videos online and we're like, oh, I hate Muslims. I wish they leave the country. No, they have power, and they're making a country that. The country that's supposed to be secular, they're making a Hindu version of Pakistan. They're taking their country backwards. They're making everything that made India great, which is the secularism. They're attacking the secularism, the very nature of secularism in India. They're a huge threat. Hinduism is a greater threat to India than Islam. And these people are a greater threat to India than the Muslims in India.
And he has power doubly because he's not just a politician, he's also a Hindu priest.
Yes.
Of a very influential temple. And when he addresses people, he shows up in his robes, his saffron robes with his head shaved and his little, mala beads. So he's bringing not just his own opinion, but he gives the guise that this is the opinion of Hinduism as well, because he's showing up as a priest.
Right. And just before with this video, when it gets cut and is separated and is posted on YouTube, it's gonna get so many angry comments. So many Hindus are gonna be like, "Oh, I mean, you don't understand Hinduism." Blah, blah, blah. Like, "Oh, you get your facts, do your research before you comment." And it's funny that the Hindus in India, they get so butthurt over this, right? Every time we talk about this stuff. But but one thing that they keep saying is like, "Oh, I mean, you have no idea what Muslims did to Hindus." Right? I know what Muslims did to Hindus. Muslims, they killed more Hindus than they killed Christians, Jews, and all other religions combined. I know that. They killed around 80 million, right? So this, in fact, the whole Hindu Kush area, Hindu Kush means like killing Hindus. It's named after
Hindu killer.
Yeah, Hindu killing. I know what Muslims did to India. They committed many mass genocides that people don't talk about. But but that's not these Muslims, okay? You cannot hold the Muslims today. You cannot hold them accountable to the crimes of other Muslims that did this like generations ago. You can't just guilt by association. You can't do that to people. That's not how it works, okay?
And that's totally what he's doing, because he said, we aren't the biryani eating people, making the reference to biryani, which they eat a lot of Muslims eat in Pakistan. He said that Modi should, and he agrees with him, shooting terrorists with bullets rather than giving them biryani. So he's trying to imply that all Muslims are terrorists, and he's not going to give them any biryani. I mean, this guy is a bigot, a disgusting bigot.
Ultimately, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, so the top comment is actually one of those things that I predicted. I knew this is going to be in the top comment in the comment section. I think this is somebody from India. I'm just profiling people based on their name. I think it's a pretty safe bet. But Surab is saying people in developed part of the world might not have experienced the radical fundamentalists firsthand, and they might feel compassionate and secular about every religion, but believe or not, mostly they come from a specific faith. Having said that, there are good people in every faith and color, but their voice and actions become null and void when majority believe hurting in the name of superiority of their faith is justified. I actually have no idea what this guy just said, so never mind. I don't know which side was the on. What he just said could be read as defending Muslims or Hindus at the same time. I have no idea. That's just a bunch of fuzzy words that was just strung together. I have no idea what you could say. All right, so that was a bunch of nonsense. But let me see. Chris is saying, have the people who get offended by your news considered crawling to their safe space and hugging their teddy bear? Maybe they wouldn't be so triggered then. I think it wouldn't be a teddy bear. I think it would be a teddy cow. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so all right. Okay, let's go to the next news.
Okay, the next news is how China's Xi Jinping, sorry, has destroyed religion and made himself God. The Catholic churches torn down or denuded of their crosses and statues, images of the Madonna and Child replaced with pictures of the people's leader, Xi Jinping. These are just some of the ways that the Chinese Communist Party is persecuting Christians in China. But it's not just Christians. In India's far west, over 1 million Muslims languish in concentration camps. Buddhist temples are being turned into Xi Jinping shrines. And China's Xi Jinping, China's president for life. I forgot to add that. On February 1st, 2020, new restrictions on all forms of religious activity came into force. The control measures for religious groups, as the 41 new rules are called, deal with everything from the holding of rites and rituals to the selection of leaders and annual meetings to the hiring of staff and the handling of funds. All of these must be reported in advance, no less, to the comrades at the Religious Affairs Office for approval. So yeah, before you can hold a meeting, before you can have a prayer group, before you can do anything, you have to report it to the Religious Affairs group, and then they can conceivably deny you or approve you. And there's some groups that they're straight up denying, like the Falun Gong people. Yeah. They're just no way for them.
No.
And they're also doing things like showing up in churches and taking down their pictures of Jesus and Mary and putting up pictures of Xi, and even the Taoists, which is like Chinese, ancient folk religion. These Taoist temples that have been there for over 1,000 years, they've been closed, their statues have been smashed. So all kinds of, destroying culture and heritage sites is going on in China.
And it's scary how many people within the atheist community are actually in support of these measures, which is like, it's a good.
Really?
Yeah, it's really bad. Like sometimes, some of them even support the concentration camps and putting a million Muslims in camps, and a lot of people in the comment section are like, "Yeah, that's great. That's how you deal with Islam." Like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is what the very definition of turning, like when you fight monsters, be careful not to turn into them. Like you want to fight the evil of Islam and Christianity, and all of a sudden in the process, like you support an authoritarian regime that commits like crimes that you're trying to avoid by getting rid of religion. Like, I mean, yeah, this is crazy. This guy is, I don't know if I call it a religion, like they say, like he's gonna make himself into a god. I'm comfortable with calling what's happening in North Korea a religion because there's some supernatural element. Just because something is a dogma, that doesn't necessarily make it a religion, right? For something to be a religion, you have to have dogma, rituals, and supernatural belief. You have to have all of that, right? So I don't think they have this is dogmatic, of course, but I don't think just because it's dogmatic, it's necessarily a religion. But maybe if you keep comparing it to a religion, that's the way you get more atheists to be like, okay, yeah, I hate this guy, right? Because right now, a lot of atheists are loving this guy. That's scary. That is really scary. And we don't shy away from pointing this out. Because a lot of people, in their community, they want to show, atheists are just so intelligent, and they all support human rights, and we're better than Christians and Muslims. But no, we have a problem here. Look at our atheist community. These people are supporting World War II style arresting people in masses because of their beliefs and putting them in camps. We have a lot of atheists within our own community supporting that, and we don't shy away from that. We actually highlight them, and there might be a chance when I scroll down, the top comment might actually be like, yeah, this guy is great because he's attacking Islam, and they're like, yeah, go on.
I was going to say, I'm just absolutely just crushed and shocked. I mean, I know anybody just being an atheist doesn't make you necessarily a good person, but it's so horrific. I mean, these are human rights violations, whether you agree with what people believe or not. I mean, people are allowed to believe what they want to believe, and it is no one's prerogative to throw them in camps, arrest them, silence their free expression. I mean, that it just goes against all Enlightenment principles, all human rights principles, the UN Human Rights Charter, and it's awful, authoritarian. And to your point about whether replacing himself with God, I do want to point out that this article that I'm reading from and that this news from is actually an opinion piece. So it's this guy's opinion. And from what I can glean, I believe this guy is a Christian. Just because of how he's talking, the guy who wrote it. Because he's saying, he wants to stop people from believing in God altogether, etc. So, I agree. I don't think he's trying to replace himself with God. I think he's just trying to get God out of the picture, and any kind of hole that the God-sized hole would be filled with the Communist Party. Because that's some of the things that are going up in churches. Like this one church in a province was ordered to take down a sign that had the church name, and the sign that was put up said, "Follow the party, obey the party, be grateful for the party."
We as Atheist Republic have been talking so much against an atheist government that is, oppressing Muslims and Christians, right? So I'm hoping that if there are some Muslims or Christians watching us, they could also copy us and speak against Islamic countries. Well, there's not much Christian countries that are oppressing atheists, but at least the Muslims that are watching us, they're like, you know what? I'm not going to be so tribal about supporting human rights as well. I'm not just going to fight for Muslims when they're being oppressed. If I see ex-Muslims being oppressed in Islamic countries, I'm going to speak as a Muslim, I'm going to speak on behalf of those atheist ex-Muslims in Iran, in Saudi Arabia, in Bangladesh, in Pakistan. I'm hoping to see more Muslims coming out and supporting atheists. I'm not going to hold my breath, but we're doing our part. We're not very tribal. We go against an atheist regime. We are atheists. We hate religion. We think religion needs to die, while at the same time, we speak against an atheist regime that is oppressing religious people. And we don't think that's a contradiction. And I'm hoping that people will do the same thing towards atheists, which is not very likely. But still, maybe one day. Do you guys want to add anything? Oh, wait. Somebody in live chat saying atheists should definitely focus on secularism. Yeah, this is the very the complete opposite of secularism, right? Secularism doesn't mean that you go out and oppress people with religious beliefs. Secularism means that government stays out of people's religions. Okay. Anyways, do you guys want to add anything before I go to close? Okay, no. All right. Hold on. Wait for it to load. Next news.
Okay, the next news is Christian moms complain about a lack of respect and dignity in the Super Bowl halftime show. So this I thought was pretty funny, but here we go. Evangelical Christian. Now this is an opinion. So evangelical Christian hate group 1 Million Moms, which never has a critical thing to say about Trump or other Republicans, can't believe 2 women danced on stage during a halftime of the Super Bowl. Jennifer Lopez basically danced while wearing, quote, a glitter maxi pad, they claim. These Christians are more upset at J-Lo for featuring kids in imaginary cages than they are at Republicans for putting kids in actual ones. They whine about the less than family-friendly halftime show, and they say nothing about the president who has affairs and talks about shithole country. So that's like, to me, that's political. I wouldn't talk about.
Yeah, I
the
wouldn't bring
president.
Trump into this. Like, you really have to bring. Okay, this is okay. I'm very much against Trump, but this is taking it way too far. Like, this had nothing to do with
What
Trump.
about-
Like, you must
Yeah.
have.
That's the way I felt about it too.
You,
when
you're
I
like,
read it.
how much Trump is on your mind that in the news that is already ridiculous. Like, you could go after these parents for so much. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous, and you could. There's so much to attack them on this, and you have to bring Trump into this. Like, what the hell? Like, you guys are like. This is Trump derangement syndrome, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously an opinion piece, but let me read you. I went on the Million Moms petition page.
I do want to
Because-
point out that it was funny that they are called 1 million moms and their Twitter following is 4,731.
Oh, yes, you're right. I neglected to read that. That's
Right.
not a
would've
million.
pointed out, that's hilarious to me.
That's very far from a million.
But what was it like? They're saying it was disrespectful. Like,
Well, let me read you what they wrote on
Okay,
their
okay.
page, encouraging people to sign their petition. They said, nearly naked performers shaking their scantily clad rear ends and numerous other body parts.
Sounds great.
And then it goes on.
Yeah,
Okay, and
that's
then
great.
later on they say, Shakira is known for her risque hip movements.
Ooh.
If that isn't enough vulgarity, she also added rope bondage to her routine, all
Okay.
while children were watching. And
Here's
then
the
later
deal.
on,
If you don't
they
want
go
your
to
children
say,
watch, turn off your TV.
exactly.
No one forced these women,
Oh.
that man who's suing for like $800 trillion, nobody forced them to sit there and watch this.
Right, they don't, I mean, that'll get thrown out. They don't have standing. But then they go on to say, Lopez grabbed her own crotch and allowed men to rub their hands on her body. So this sounds like almost like something you would hear from, you know, some of these Taliban pronouncements or these super extremist Jews
nah,
who
it's
say,
not that bad. To be fair,
but it's true, but it's going that way. Like they
Yeah.
let men touch. She let men touch her body. She moved her hips. I mean, the nearly all of it. It's just going in that direction.
Yeah.
And
But
the
let's
other
be
thing
fair.
that
It's really, really bad and ridiculous. But it's definitely not even close to Taliban bad and ridiculous.
You're right. You're
Yeah,
right. It's
yeah.
not. But oh, and then they say, how are children supposed to learn respect and dignity when this is what they see on the world's biggest stage? Which I want to say that's some hubris right there. Like the
Yeah.
whole world is paying attention to what's going on in the United States on a Sunday afternoon. No. And then they say that this is wrong because so many other artists could have performed a cleaner program.
Honestly, I think
But-
this is a huge ad for this whole show. Like everything they said, it makes me gonna want to go watch it now.
Well, what I want to say and what I've been saying to putting all over the internet is pictures of cheerleaders that have been on the football field for 2-3 decades now in little tiny bikini tops and little tiny shorts, shaking their rear ends that no one seems to have a problem with.
Mm.
I'm thinking it's the inclusion of pom-poms that makes the difference. If
Okay.
you don't have pom-poms, it's Sodom and Gomorrah.
I
With
think that I
with
would watch more
pom-poms, it's
or more
okay.
cheerleaders, but
Wow.
the problem is, and what I don't want people to do is start to now rip on more women because these women are ripping on those women, right? Like I don't want to, and I know
that's-
that's the meme that you saw
yeah.
online. It's not you
Wait.
doing it, Rivka. But what
Yeah.
I hate
Wait.
seeing is I hate people saying, well, cheerleaders do it. Cheerleaders. So let's not point to other women and say they dance trashily and all these other claims that these moms are making about J-Lo and Shakira, because no, they don't, right? So it's
But
to me,
dance
pointing out-
trashly as much as you want. What's the problem with that? Like dance.
You know, I wasn't trying to
No,
say
wait,
they
Ali,
were
sorry.
trashy. I'm just saying that they're
Right,
wearing
but I've seen
small,
it. I've
scantily
seen it
clad
online.
outfits.
Guys, we need to stop talking at the same time because Skype mutes all of us if we talk at the same time. But Ali, sorry, I interrupted Ali.
Go ahead.
No, but I just definitely want to make sure, Rivka, I know that wasn't you saying that. It's been popular online. I've seen it even in some LGBT groups where guys are ripping on all the other women who are involved in football. And it's like, wait, hold on. Like, let's not turn this about a woman against a woman thing, because it's not. These women are angry because they chose to watch something that they didn't like. but they still chose to watch it. And that's so for them to sit here and try to blame the NFL or anyone to want to sue about this or whatever, I think it's ridiculous.
Honestly,
It
okay,
is ridiculous.
I'm gonna say that something that might be a little bit controversial or not. I don't know, but honestly, there's no nudity, so I think this is fine for children to see because it
Yes.
shows that women it fights modesty culture. It shows that women are not afraid of, like they don't have to hide their body. They're not ashamed of their body. They do what they want with their body. And if you are, I bet you if these were two men doing the same thing, less people would be offended. So it's mostly like a woman. Apparently, women there's something very offensive about a woman's body. It's just like if you show it too much, it might just break the fabric of the universe or something. There's some special, they have special power. Like, so I think like just normalizing it and, girls like saying that, I don't have to be ashamed of, like, this is fine. Like, if I don't want to show it, I don't show it when I'm not as a child, by the way. But when I'm older, like if I want to be modest, I can be modest. If I want to be less modest, I can be less modest. It's all good. It's all fine. Normalize it. There's no nudity. No children were hurt in the process. Everybody survived, and civilization didn't collapse as well. Let me just see what the top comment is, by the way. Okay, the top comment is a meme, so I can't read that.
Can I ask something really quick, Armin, before we get to that? I just wanted to say that we covered news a long time ago about a guy who said masturbation made you gay because basically, like, you're getting hard for yourself and sexually aroused by yourself. This is the same guy who is suing the NFL right now for $800 trillion for this halftime show. So it's the same guy. Just wanted to bring that up there.
Oh. And I wanted to make a point with Armin was saying if it was a man, that's actually been a discussion online. They're showing pictures of a male singer who did the halftime show with no shirt on. Yeah, I don't know because I just go for the snacks at the football parties. But he had no shirt on. And we didn't necessarily see this level of outrage over his nearly naked body.
You're right. Yeah, it's a woman's body. It has more powers than a male body. So the top comment is by Montana. She is saying, it's amazing to me how many people think a woman's respectability is based solely on what she wears. And literally none of those people actually respect women. I agree with the first part of the sentence. I disagree with the second part of the sentence. When you say how many people, that's actually, there's a lot of people that think like that, but when you say and literally none of those people actually respect women, that's an absolute statement that there's no way that you could support. Use, like, if you say many, it's a safer bet than saying all, and it's a safer bet than saying most. Okay, all is if you say all, you're definitely wrong. If you say most, you probably don't have any evidence for your claim. But if you say many, you're in a safe zone. Just say many, right? Then you don't. It's really easy to prove that. Let me see. Okay, Vibehav is saying, I think these Christians are acting like modesty culture of Christianity. Yep, that's what it is, modesty culture. All right, let's go to the next news.
Sweeping South Dakota bill aims to eliminate LGBTQ rights.
Wait, what? Oh, okay. Go on.
Oh, did I? You okay?
No. Yeah, you're good.
Right. South Dakota's legislature introduced House Bill 1215, a comprehensive, retrogressive anti-LGBTQ bill, the most comprehensive retrogressive sorry, I can't read today, LGBTQ bill in memory. The bill covers nearly every aspect of LGBTQ life, from marriage equality and protection from discrimination to the surprisingly specific. The law addresses schools and libraries hosting drag queen story hours. It contains a rather nebulous catch-all clause that says the state may not approve policies that condone or affirm LGBT communities. The bill prohibits policies that make any part of LGBTQ people's lives safer or more just. So this is an example of what you just said, kind of an absolutist statement. Again, this is an opinion piece. It sanctions bigotry by refusing to recognize anti-LGBTQ LGBTQ discrimination should be against the law, and then goes on to prohibit nearly every form of legislation that might decrease the discrimination. Yeah, I mean, it even says that the state may not enforce, condone, or favor any policy that permits any form of marriage that does not involve a man or a woman. That seems odd to me, considering federal law trumps state law, and they, as the state, have to give the marriage licenses to people when it's federal law for people to get married.
This hasn't been passed yet, right?
It passed one of the houses.
But is this one of the... Okay, but it hasn't been law yet.
No.
So is this one of those bills that the people that wrote it know that it has no chance in hell for it to get anywhere, but they just want to signal to the Christians, look, I'm fighting, vote for me? Is this one of those?
I don't know. I mean, it had 50 sponsors.
Aside from with as many sponsors as this, and with the fact that it's already passed the House, I don't think it's one of those. But I'll tell you what this is. This is one that it's going to go out there. If it does pass, people are going to take it to the Supreme Court. Obviously, it's going to be rejected. But in the meantime, they possibly have been able to make changes that people have had to suffer through for the past couple of years, kind of like in Texas, how they made it illegal to get an abortion if your abortion clinic were outside of 200-foot range from a hospital door. That was impossible. Almost all of them were, right? So all the clinics had to shut down while this was being fought in the Supreme Court. So whenever it got rejected, now there are no clinics open anymore for women to get abortions at. So there are little tricks that they do like this, and that's what I'm afraid of here.
Yeah, so a lot of people assume that like it's like kind of like a computer thing, like it's automatic in the United States. They don't they think like if anything is unconstitutional in the United States, it's just a law comes and just immediately gets chopped down. Like, no, you're not constitutional. No, it doesn't work like that. Like, so what if something is unconstitutional, you could make it law and it could hurt a whole bunch of people for years and years and years, and then you have to challenge it, and you have to spend a lot of money, and you have to get lawyers, and you go to the Supreme Court, and then eventually the Supreme Court might be like, okay, yes, this was unconstitutional, it gets removed, and then you have like thousands of people that were hurt by this law for many years, and the people that wrote the law knew that eventually it might get challenged and removed, but in the meantime they may, I don't know, save fetuses or stop a lot of gay unions, so it did some good while it lasted, right? So it's not like just because, you can't do that, it's unconstitutional. Well, no, you can. You just have to eventually gonna get struck down, but you're gonna get away with a lot of damage in the meantime.
For as long as you can. So I just want to tell you some other things that are in this law. It says that the state may not enforce, endorse, or favor policies that appropriate benefits to persons who enter a marriage other than a marriage involving a man or a woman. So that could be health benefits, that could be pension benefits, that could be the ability to see your partner in the hospital, to make health decisions, all kinds of things. So
these people are so direct, like they're not even hiding it. They're not even. They're just like, yeah, we're bigots. we don't like gay people. Like they're not even sugarcoating it in some kind of a language. Like, wow, okay.
And then this is weird. It says the state may not enforce, endorse, or favor. It's weird, and it's also kind of gross because I think it's trying to equate homosexuality with. It says condone or affirm homosexual, transgender, zoophilia, objectophilia, polygamy, or sexual orientation doctrines. And then listen to this part. They added a section 2. And in the section 2, it lists 3 rights that the bill does not affect: marriage between a man and a woman, person's right to self-asserted gender, sex-based identity, narrative, or orientation, and then listen to the third one: the right to practice secular humanism.
What?
Yep.
Wait, what?
So they're saying your right to practice secular humanism will not be affected, and I think it's because it's so inherent to a lot of people that this has a religious base to it. So they want to say, well, don't worry, people. We're not stopping you from not believing, not believing.
Well, it also, Rivka, it prevents anyone from saying this goes against my ideology, right? Like,
Very good point.
so-
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
they're so clever.
like the Church of Satan, the Temple of Satan. Okay, you guys know what I'm talking about. They
Yeah.
can't hop in and say this is against that because they're including other people's rights in this as well.
They're so
Exactly.
clever. They're like, hey, we no gays, no, like, but this is not a bad religion. Yeah, sure. Like, this is so, they know, they're very good at what they do. They're evil geniuses, these Christian politicians,
Christian theocrats. So one of the sponsors of this bill is Fred Deutsch, and he is the guy who introduced the nation's first bathroom bill, by the way, about transgender people in bathrooms. He also once compared doctors treating trans kids with hormones to Nazi experiments. And he also was the one who introduced, and then it was later passed, a House bill called 1057, which prohibits hormone treatments and puberty blockers and surgery for people under 16, and classifies that as a first-degree misdemeanor for a doctor with 1 year in jail and a maximum $2,000 fine.
All right, let me read the top. Okay, go on.
I was just going to say, like, I don't know that you necessarily have to pass a law about that. I do think it's a discussion between parents and physicians about whether this is appropriate for a child.
Right.
But criminalizing a doctor, I find that just seems over the top.
Yeah, I'd rather go with the doctor than the politician deciding what's right or not. But the top comment saying is by Donnie saying a single state can't overturn a federal decision. We already explained that, even if that is true, but it will take a while for you to be able to challenge it. Vape Hub in the live chat is saying, at least in the U.S. Supreme Court, Supreme Court will prove it invalid. In India, Supreme Court has lost all its spine. So they're saying, yeah, it might take a while, but at least there's something that you could, at least in the United States, you have something that you could eventually overturn it. So that's a fair point.
And the ACLU is on the case.
Okay. Oh, no, ACLU. I wish it was for Freedom from Religion Foundation instead. Anyways, Ali,
they may show up too.
Yeah. Ali, did you want to add anything to this?
Nope.
All right. This is funny one. Okay, next news.
The next news. The National Congress Party MLA Churchill Alemeo said that tigers should be punished for eating cows when humans are punished for the same. A tigress and 3 of her cubs were killed by 5 locals in Mahadea Wildlife Sanctuary last month. The issue was raised by the leader of the opposition, Digamabar Kamat, through a calling attention motion on the floor of the House. This is in India, by the way. During the assembly session on Wednesday, he asked, what is the punishment for a tiger when he eats the cow? When the human eats a cow, he is punished. So he was basically saying that, tigers should be punished the same way that humans are punished for eating cows.
We should punish because nature.
So wait,
what's the
what
they do.
What is the punishment? What is the punishment? I don't know.
It doesn't say in the article, and I didn't have a chance to research.
Are you sure this is real news? Is this real news? Is this
It's from India news site.
You're right. Yeah, India Today is a very legitimate news site. But I mean, I had to I'm asking this, and I know this is real news, but I actually had to quadruple check before, when I first saw this as well. But this guy is what? Is he a politician, right? He actually
he's an MP, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
He's a leader of the opposition party. Yeah, MP.
How do these people function? How does this country not falling apart if these are
Maybe he means they're punished on a spiritual level. I don't know.
No, he says must be punished. Are we gonna so what about theft? If a tiger steals another tiger's food, are they gonna put them in court as well for theft? But what is the punishment? What are they gonna do with the tiger?
Well, according to... Go ahead, Ali.
Oh, I was going to say, according to the article, I mean, some locals, 5 locals, killed a tigress and her 3 cubs. So I'm assuming the punishment is death.
Okay. So what about if a snake bites like a cow and the cow dies? Are they gonna have like a court date for the snake?
Armin, obviously, snakes need to be punished.
No, but okay. Let's take this to the full thing for conclusion, right? Because if humans, when they're punished, they're not just punished. They have a lawyer. They get like defense. So are we gonna have like a defense? Are we gonna have a defense lawyer for the tiger?
Hold on now, because there have been a lot of people in India who got no due process. People said this person is hoarding beef, and people just go and kill him.
No, but that's a mob. At least the court actually has like when the court wants to punish somebody, they have like a lawyer, like the.
But I don't think they're talking about courts here. I think they're just talking about mob
justice.
Animals.
Mob justice.
And then they start to conflate it because then they start talking about tigers that have killed livestock and that farmers should be compensated within 3 to 4 days. So, like, I don't know how the compensation, I'm guessing, is coming from the government. I don't know, because remember, this happened in a wildlife sanctuary, which also to me seems bizarre.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, what are the cows doing in the wildlife sanctuary? Why? But I guess cows go wherever they want.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's India. It's not like everything is mixed together. People like take a crap in the street. Like, no disrespect. Actually, no disrespect to India. Like, it's not like very organized. Everything is like you're imagining some level of organization that is non-existent in India. Okay. So,
well, if you're going to take it to this level, I would say that it's actually the fault of the people who let the cows into the wildlife sanctuary.
Don't give them ideas. They're going to punish more people. They're going to punish everybody now. No, but why is it just tigers? Again, like what if the cow dies from malaria? We have to catch the mosquitoes and put them on trial. What if they die from disease? We have to punish the bacteria.
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
No, like you honestly, like when we've been doing this for how many years now? 15 years, right? You hear so much nonsense from religious people, and at some point you think like, you know what? I've seen it all. Like, I've seen the most ridiculous things you could have imagined. Like, there's nothing that's gonna surprise me anymore. And then you see this, like, okay, no, wait, I haven't seen it all. This is amazing. Like, you keep religion keeps delivering absurdities, like new ones but thank you, Hinduism, for us to Hinduism is great, by the way, because a lot of people are bored with the ridiculousness of Christianity and Islam, so we want new material, and Hinduism has a lot to deliver, so we're going to be covering all of that. Asma saying they should have eaten people like him, to be honest. I'm
sorry to laugh.
No, that's fine. I'm gonna assume Asma is gonna be making a joke, so that's funny. But I'm hoping she's not serious. But if it's just a joke, then I'll accept it. GB saying I'm not 100% sure, but his comment seems like a sarcastic reply meant to point out how tigers get more due process than humans when they kill cows. But yeah, it does seem like it when you just read the headline. But when you actually go dig in the article, then it stops seeming like that, because you want to be very charitable to this guy, because it just seems too ridiculous to be true. So when you just see the headline, like, was this guy trolling? Is this guy being sarcastic? But then you read into it and you're like, no, it seems like this guy's serious. But go on, Rivka. You want to say something? Yeah.
No, I'm just still laughing at that comment about the tiger.
Yeah. All right, Ali, did you want to add anything to this?
No.
Okay.
I'm not sure what we could add to it.
Yeah,
I think it stands on its own.
It stands on its own. By the way, if you guys think we are wrong on this news, or if you're one of those triggered Hindus that think we got this wrong, please leave your comments and correct us. And it's right there. You could just educate us. AKL561 is saying religion will always come up with new material. Don't worry. Yep. All right, so let's go to our last news.
The last and final news is a cleric was arrested for selling meth to students, saying it'll help them study Quran better.
Hey.
Yeah, and recite Quran better. According to The Star, a religious leader from Madura, northeast Java in Indonesia, had been selling the drug to his students at an Islamic boarding school and had reasoned it was permissible under Islamic law. Being an avid drug user himself, Ahmad Marzuki managed to avoid the police for 2 months after they learned of his actions. Despite being a fugitive, the religious leader still taught at other Islamic boarding schools in Surabaya and Mojokerto cities. So yeah, apparently he's a drug addict. And
wait, how did he avoid the police? Like, even though they found that?
It doesn't say. It just says that he was able to avoid them and was still teaching at other schools.
So, yeah, I don't know. He said, like, I think instead of saying it helps you read the Quran, he should have said, like, why would you want to read the Quran? Why would you want to read God's book when you can meet God? Right? Talk to him directly. Like, I don't know. That would be more of a LSD.
Well, what I'm gleaning from this is that because he's a drug addict, he needs money to buy his drugs, and he needs drugs, so he's selling the drugs to his students to feed his own habit.
Right.
That's what it seems like to me, because it said that they captured him. Oh, listen to this, Armin. He was captured. The authorities finally managed to capture him while he was attending a funeral.
Right.
Wow.
By the way, it shows how much these students value studying the Quran, that had to be a marketing pitch, right? Like,
right?
So, imagine like that being your selling point. You're like, the students are like, I don't know, man, this is wrong, and I don't think I should do math. It's like, but it will help you with your Quran studies. Oh, well, why didn't you say so? You should have just started with that. Like, okay, give it to me. Like, how much these students value their Quran studies, that was a marketing, that was a line to be used. But,
And also, the Indonesia's largest independent Islamic organization said that while the Quran does not explicitly mention the drug being meth, the religious text verses should be interpreted with a consensus among Islamic scholars that there is no drug use in the Quran. But the guy who was selling meth said he knew it was illegal, but he found no evidence against it in the Quran. And that guy's like, well, yeah, it doesn't explicitly mention meth in the Quran.
Right. So, yeah, so neither in the Quran or the Hadith is there anything against, like, drug use. However, here's the trick, okay? See, I know how to do BS in religion. I speak religion, okay? So if you really wanted to, like, make drugs un-Islamic, all you have to do is be like, okay, so when God said don't drink alcohol, the way you have to read that is not that the alcohol is bad. You have to look at the spirit of that order, right? Just like in the law, they look at the spirit of the law to see what the purpose is. So God is basically saying, don't drink anything, don't do it, don't consume anything that alters your mind, right? So in that way, drugs will also be bad. But then then coffee will also be out of order. So you're going to lose coffee if you do that. Anyways, but
you can't lose coffee or tea in
that would be too
Islamic
much.
countries.
That would be too much. So the top comment is saying, I'm sure it would help them study better. You'd have to be as high as an how do you read this? As inebriated mongoose to believe that shit. Well, to be fair, that people that do Quranic studies, they have no idea what they're reading, right? They just go like this. They put their head back and forward, and they're just reading the text. And where is this? Pakistan, right? Right? So,
Indonesia.
Oh, Indonesia. Sorry. So they don't even speak Arabic. They're just following the words. They have no idea what's in the Quran. Some of them even have memorized the Quran cover to cover. And if you just name them, give them a surah, number, and verse, they would just recite it, and then ask them what was the meaning of what you just recited, and they have no clue. So 99% of these people have no idea what they're reading. Anyways, That was our last. Ali, did you want to add anything to this?
Nope.
No. All right.
I wanted to say something that I think is interesting. So these guys were taking meth to study better, but you have tons of American college students who take Adderall or Ritalin, which are basically stimulants. They're not meth, but they're in the amphetamine family, which methamphetamine is, to study better as well. So it's not an unfounded concept.
It's not, but I think it's the wrong drug. Shouldn't they? Isn't the cocaine like the drug for like studying?
No, I think it's Adderall because it's supposedly focus.
But the illegal ones, like I don't think meth actually helps you with your studies. I don't think
it probably does.
By the way, there's just legal mumbo jumbo guys. Like, don't do anything illegal. I wasn't recommending you guys to do any drugs for your studies. I was just talking about what people say, and I'm not.
It's anecdotal.
I'm not advocating for any drug use. Drugs are bad. Stay away from drugs. Don't break. I'm not advocating for breaking the law. Please don't sue me or anything. YouTube, I wasn't advocating. Hey, gods of YouTube, I'm gonna get myself in trouble. Okay, so never mind. Just forget everything I just said about cocaine. Okay, forget it. Drugs are bad. Okay.
Strike it from the record.
Yes. All right. Love you guys. Thank you, everybody in the live chat. Thank you, Angel, Old Scratch, Chrissy, Vibrantly. Let me see. Kendall, George, Mickey, Jess, Josh, Old Scratch. I think I read Rail. Another godless atheist. Sorry if I didn't read your name. I still love you. If I didn't read your name, it wasn't on purpose. Beach was here too as well. Mike, I think, was here. Anyway, see you guys again next week. Thank you for your comments. Share the video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe now. Do it now. Subscribe and share. Share the video and hit the bell button. Hit that bell thingy. Hit it. Okay, please. Come on. You watch all the way to here. You must like our content, so you might as well subscribe. All right, and sharing is caring. Bye.
Bye.